Good evening. Good evening. How's everyone doing today? All right, so we're getting ready to get started. So we're going to give everybody another minute or so to get started and to join in. So I just wanted to let everybody know if you have any questions, please type your questions in the Q&A or raise your hand. We do have a facilitator that's going to be keeping track of all of the questions, and we're going to allow for Q&A at the end. And we're also going to be recording this, so I just want to let everybody know that once we get started, this is going to be recorded. All right, good evening. Albert Gibbs here, CEO of the AG Leadership Academy. Thank you all for joining this evening. So today's event and webinar is going to be something that's pretty special. One of the things with the AG Leadership is we have a very diverse population of young students. And a lot of our young men are very gifted athletically and have the potential to go very far in life athletically. And so one of the things that, is very important to me that we make sure we send off kids and even kids that are already in college, provide them with the blueprint for success, regardless if it's going to be through athletics or anything else in life. So that's why we're here today. So we're here to talk about, college athletics. And for a lot of the students, after you finish your playing days, what's next? Even if you do make it to the pros, what's next after that? So I have a panel of two former Division I athletes that have transitioned into the business world, and they're going to be sharing their stories. Both of these young men I've known for a while. One works with me at Citrix, and one has been a friend and a volunteer within the AG Leadership Academy for the last few years. And both have experienced adversity while they were in college, and now have overcome that and are well on their way to successful careers. So first, I just wanted to give a little bit of information for those of you that have never attended anything that the AG Leadership Academy has hosted. We're a South Florida-based nonprofit, and our motto is creating leaders through mentorship. And really, we focus on partnering members of the community with high-performing students. So really just expanding students' networks and providing a platform for them to learn and to have mentors and to get feedback on things and to kind of help them along the way. If you look at some of the pictures, it's everything from when we went to visit Les Brown in Miami at one of his speaking engagements. The middle picture is one of my STEM camps. That was their Shark Tank final presentation at Citrix headquarters here in Fort Lauderdale. And we're also a partner with the Florida Department of Transportation. And we have Adopt the Highway program where we actually go out and do street cleanings at least once a month. Right now, it's on pause because of coronavirus, but looking at starting that back up early 2021. Some of the programs that we do here at the AG Leadership Academy, scholarships at my old high school, Deerfield Beach High School, community service events like you just saw with the street cleanup, and we do an MLK Day of Service each year. Typically in the summer, we do like a book bag and a haircut drive where we provide supplies to the students. However, that's also on pause right now. We do a STEM camp. I work with middle school students, teaching them entrepreneurship and also teaching them about different techniques with how you present yourself from a sales perspective, and just giving them an entry level into a lot of sales and technology. There's the mentorship component where we try to assign mentors to the young men who are in the program. So regardless if you're going to school far away or if you're going to school locally, we try to find someone that's either in that city or just someone that you can relate to, whether it's your majors or background, and make that connection for the students. And we also do educational forums. Today's panel, I want to go ahead and introduce them. I have Trey Hagood and Daytrieon Dean. So Trey, if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and you guys share your cameras and introduce yourself. So Trey, we'll go ahead and start with you and then Daytrieon.
First, I want to say thanks for having me, Albert. It's always a pleasure coming to your events and working with you. I want to start off, everyone. Thanks for joining today. My name is Treshawn. A lot of my friends and family call me Trey. I'm originally from Georgia, finished my high school years in Pensacola, Florida. I ended up going off to Prairie View A&M University to play basketball as a college point guard. Now today I'm working in my second year working with Florida Crystals, also known as Domino Sugar. I'm in one of their supply chain leadership development programs, finishing off my second rotation currently. It's kind of just a quick high-level synopsis of me. And once again, thanks for having me today, Bert.
No problem. Daytrieon?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Daytrieon Dean. I'm originally from Fort Smith, Arkansas. Attended University of Arkansas out of high school. Right now, I'm currently working at Citrix with Albert. I'm in my first year at Citrix. I'm going through the leadership development program. Almost halfway done with that. And so, also transferred to another university where I finished up playing football there. So thank you for having me, Albert. Can't wait to get this thing going.
All right, sounds good. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started with the conversation now. First things first, I want to just kind of let everyone know how today is going to flow. There's some questions that the panelists are going to discuss. I do encourage everyone to put questions in the Q&A box. And then at the end, we're going to have an open discussion. I know there's a few guys that are, either in high school as part of athletic programs, and some on their way to college to play ball, and some already in college. And then I know we have a few people that are coaches and people that are working athletics, so they may have something they want to add. So I want everybody just to kind of relax. I want it to be an open forum. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So Daytrieon, I'll start with you. So take me back to high school, and when you're a highly recruited athlete. You and I've kind of had some of these conversations, and just tell me like your thought process when you were leaving high school and going off to college. What were you thinking? What was going to be the next step for you?
So my senior year in high school was kind of unique. A lot of people don't know this. I was 17. I actually had the opportunity to graduate high school early. So I graduated high school in December. And what happened was that previous summer, I was actually taking college courses to allow me to graduate high school early. So my senior year was up in a limbo. I ended up getting hurt. And throughout that process, I still was able to graduate high school early and transition to the University of Arkansas at the age of 17. But throughout that process, I knew what I wanted to major in, which was industrial engineering. I knew I was going to do engineering. I did a lot of research on it since the 9th grade. And throughout that process, the first thing on my mind was just getting to the university and trying to make a name for myself on the field.
Okay. And Trey? You're on mute.
Sorry about that. I was saying great story. I think my story is the total opposite of your situation. So my story is a little different, but everyone has their own path. So when I was in high school, I was a great, I would say a good high school athlete. I was averaging maybe 25 points a game, maybe 8 assists, 6 rebounds, but who was keeping the stats, But I moved from Georgia and I moved to Pensacola. I really wasn't on the radar for a lot of big college coaches, even though my numbers would, think otherwise. I didn't play on any high-level AAU team, so I wasn't under that limelight where I had a lot of scouts and coaches really recruiting me. And then on the back end, I didn't have that no one in my corner to really mentor me and guide me and kind of push me in a direction to kind of put myself in that position to really get recruited. So I really was flying under the radar. But from my perspective, I think I had some type of talent. So when I was actually graduating high school, I didn't have any Division I offers. I actually didn't have any offers outside of junior college. And when it came to, sports and basketball, I also had, a 3.9 GPA coming out of high school. So I actually used that and leveraged my academics that I had. I had a full ride to Florida A&M my freshman year, FAMU, for electrical engineering. So I actually was going to quit playing basketball, go to FAMU for electrical engineering, and just use that full ride based on my academics. But when I got to the school, I actually got there, a lot of people, friends, family reaching out saying, hey, Trey, you shouldn't quit. You shouldn't give up just yet. You're very talented. So I actually decided to try out for the basketball team. I tried out my freshman year at FAMU. I say the first practice, coach, after the first open gym session, coach seen me play and just said, hey, come to practice. 4 seasons within the game, I'm the starting point guard, being a walk-on. So my story is a little different. I really wasn't in the limelight. One thing I would say, though, is that I never gave up, and I just continued to work hard until I got to where I wanted to get to. And from there, that's just kind of how my collegiate career took off.
Okay. All right. And so, Daytrieon, we'll go back to you. So, what was your experience like as a D1 athlete playing sports? And when you look back at your experience, is there anything that you would change?
So my experience as a Division I athlete was great. Came with a lot of challenges. Like I mentioned, being 17 in college, away from home, it was a very unique ordeal for me. Going through spring ball, going through the classes, very, very intrigued. Weightlifting, being on time, all of that to me was just a culture shock because, high school is easy, but now you're in the SEC, you competing with guys that are about to go to the NFL. A lot of them got draft radars on them. And so it was very, very, a lot of pressure for me because I felt like every day you had to produce, whether that's in the classroom or on the field or in the weight room. And so the pressure and the eyes were always constantly on you. And I feel like overall I had a great experience. I ended up actually transferring to another university 2.5 years into my time at the University of Arkansas, transferred to another FCS program in West Texas, which I finished my career playing tight end there. But overall, my career was really decent. I felt like I did a lot of great things on and off the field. I met a lot of people. Looking back at it, I don't think I regret anything. I think everything happens for a reason. Life happens, and being a Division I athlete or any level of athlete in college, injuries happen, and I've have partaken in that. I've torn my ACL and I had other injuries. So looking back at it, I don't really regret anything. I learned a lot of lessons.
Okay. Trey, same question, just what was your experience like, and is there anything that you would change?
So my experience as a D1 athlete, honestly, was probably, one of the most life-changing, exciting experiences that I ever, had. For one, it was just me as an opportunity coming from a small country town, going playing D1, traveling all around the country, playing different teams, back home having your family watch you play on ESPN, all your friends. It was like a life-changing experience for me, just getting out, seeing different cultures, being in a team space environment, working with teams, being coachable, all the things that translate to the real world. It really was just a culture shock. Coming out of high school, I had all A's, maybe 1B. My freshman year of college, I flunked out of my first class. It was just, I was, just getting acclimated to the college world. And it was a drastic change from, getting up at 6 a.m. every morning. I thought I was, working hard in high school, getting up at 6 a.m. for weights. You're coming back in at 9 a.m. for individuals. You're going to class. You got study hall. You're coming back in to get up shots. You're coming back later for practice. And then you still got homework to do just as a regular student. So it really was a life-changing experience that helped me really shift gears on my work ethic, time management, just making sure you prioritize and know what you really want out of what you really get, what you put in. And, I always talk about some of my friends, one of my good friends here who went to grad school with me, University of Miami. He played basketball as well and finished at law school. We always talk about things that, we wish we could have changed, or not things we regret, because I think everything happens in life for a reason. You are where you are for a certain reason, but there are certain things that we look back and at certain times like this, when we talk to the youth and we talk to people who is in our predicament that, you know, we didn't have this, you know, platform for people to speak back on the behalf of what we were actually in the moment. One thing I would say was, you know, when we were playing basketball, we all thought we were going to go pro. We're going to have a good career overseas. You know, we're going to make a lot of money. This is our dream. It's our passion. This is what we grew up playing. This is all we know. But when I look back on it, it's like, okay, yeah, I was competing hard every day in the gym. I was, you know, beating all of my teammates in practice. But when I really looked at, you know, these top tier athletes that come out of UCLA, Texas A&M, Wisconsin, the schools we're playing, one of my good friends played at Texas A&M. I went and spent the weekend with him one time. We were up on the weekends on a Saturday at 6 a.m. shooting shots. We ate breakfast. We came and lifted weights. You know, we're back in the gym around 12 playing one-on-one. We went back, recovered, had some shakes, took a quick nap. He's like, hey, before we do anything tonight, let's go back in the gym and get some more shots. This is a Saturday. I'm expecting to go down to Texas A&M College Station, go to the bars, party. I'm like, hey, man, this is like my weekend off. And the difference is, now that I look back, nothing wrong with it. You know, I put myself in a position where I had my grades still high as a student athlete, you know, coming out, graduating with honors. So I had the opportunity to go to grad school and now be in the corporate America. But, you know, his main focus was, you know, sports and going pro. And I can see it just based on the work ethic that he put in versus what I did. And now, you know, not saying I'm in a bad position, but now he's in the NBA. And now that I'll actually sit back and analyze and really look at, you know, the things I was doing versus what a real pro was doing in college and the work ethic it really takes. You know, I want to make sure we when we talk to our youth, we let them know, like, hey, if this is something you really want to do, make sure you dedicate not just your time, but your time, your effort, your life, everything revolves around this. If you want to be a pro, it's really hard to become a pro. And you really have to dedicate so much more energy, time, effort to be better than the next person, not just on your team, but better than the next person in the country. You're not just competing against. And when it comes to the pros, you're competing against everyone in the world. And that's just one concept I didn't stick to. I thought I was just competing against everyone in Prairie View, being the best in practice. But I wasn't thinking about, you know, the years we're playing, you know, UCLA, and they got Kyle Anderson, Zach LaVine, you know, 5 pros in the NBA now, and they're starting 5. I wasn't, you know, competing every day in practice, say, hey, you know, I want to be just as good as them. I wasn't in the weight room, you know, working out as a pro just like them. So if I look back on, you know, my time in college, you know, from an academic standpoint, you know, I crushed the books. I think I graduated with honors. That's good. Academic All-American, NCAA Academic All-American. But if I could restructure some of my time and talk to some of the younger athletes, I would say, you know, focus on your craft a little bit more. Take an extra hour. Don't sleep, but take an extra hour, maybe, you know, from going out, hanging out with your friends. Take that extra hour and go put in some extra work on the field. You know, get an extra 30 minutes lifting, you know, outside of what your team is doing. Don't just do the same workout that your teammates are doing if you want to be better than them. If you want to really excel in this game and you really love what you're doing, then, you know, make sure you put that extra mile forward. Because if you're not, I guarantee there's someone else at a different university that's doing that. There's someone else that has someone in their ear telling them to continue to work harder than the next man. They're working, putting in extra hours, and it's going unnoticed. And I noticed the hours that you put in when no one is looking are the hours that really count. And that's one thing I would say, if I can change, I would put a little bit more work into myself as opposed to just hanging out with my friends, you know, hanging out on campus. It was a great experience. But, you know, when I was thinking, you know, I want to go play, I want to go do this, when I look back on, you know, where some of my friends are and think the route they took and the work ethic they had, I put more effort in the library than they did, and now I'm at where I'm at. They put more effort in the gym, and they are where they are. So I would say, you know, while you're in the moment, just take some time to think about what you really want to do. And if you really want to play professional, if that's really your dreams, your aspiration, and ask yourself every day, are you really working the hardest that you could today? Are you really putting in the effort, the time that a pro is putting in? And if you don't know, maybe watch some videos of pros in college and see the work ethic they put in. It's 2020. All this information is out there. Quick YouTube search. And I guarantee you'll notice that, you know, you can always work harder. There's always someone out there working harder. So don't, you know, ever forget that. It's just one of my piece of advice that there's one thing I can change. I think that would be it.
Definitely. And that actually sets us up for the next question. So, you know, like I look back, you know, I had hoop dreams when I was young too. You know, I played sports growing up in high school. And, you know, my sophomore year, we won state. And I looked at the guys that were seniors and where they were going to school. And to me, like, we had won state. I think we were like 17th in the nation. And, you know, no one went to like a big, like D1 school for basketball, right? No one went to Duke. No one went to North Carolina. No one went to Florida, right? And so I think for me, around my junior year, it was like, yeah, man, like, yeah, it's basketball is fun, but you need to go ahead, add a few AP classes, add a few honors classes, and get this full ride academically. So, for you guys, I just want to ask you, when did reality set in that professional sports was not in your future, and kind of what was that like? So, Daytrieon, I'll start with you.
So, great question. I think that hit me probably my senior year, my last year, this past year at ACU. Before the season started, I figured like, hey, for me to get a shot at the league, I would have to do certain things on the field. Making a transition from DN to tight end, it was something that I wasn't really used to playing. So I knew my chances at the league playing tight end would be more, I'd have a better opportunity. And so with that being said, I looked at it like, hey, it's 50-50. I got to play a lot. I got to get on the field. Got a lot of things got to line up, a lot of different variables. And preseason, I'll be honest with you, man, I had NFL scouts looking at me. I had the Green Bay Packers. I had the Rams. I had a lot of scouts looking at me. And so the NFL dream was definitely there for me, and it was there up for the grabs. But I had to choose, do I want to go try to chase the NFL, or do I want to kind of enter corporate America and not waste no more time? And so I grinded out my senior year as best as I could. And then I came to the decision that, hey, look, I feel like for me and what I'm trying to do and the leader I'm trying to become for young Black kids in our neighborhoods and where we come from is to go the corporate America route, because we see all the LeBrons, we see all these other different people on TV, but we don't see, a Bill Gates that looks like us. And so I was like, hey, I got to lead my family down a different path. And so that's when I came to the realization that the NFL wasn't going to be something that I wanted to do. And I had NFL agents reach out to me, Instagram, DM me like, hey, man, we can sign you up, get you this, get you that. But I just looked at it from a whole different point of view on my life that, hey, look, you dedicated 10, 15 plus years to this sport. What are you going to do with the next couple of years you have? You're going to try to chase a dream that, that could happen or could not happen, or you want to just start go to enter corporate America and try to make a difference. And so that's what I say. I kind of realized that the path that I needed to take was into corporate America as my senior year. So.
Okay. And then Trey, you kind of alluded to it, but same question for you. You kind of told us, about your experience with your friend at Texas A&M. But when that actually hit, that like, okay, like I probably won't get drafted or probably won't go play professional basketball. What was that like when that reality set in?
Yeah. To be honest, I was just at an open run on Saturday, and I was thinking, man, maybe I should go back to the professional ball. Like, it hasn't set in yet. I was like, man, maybe I should quit my day job and go back to this ball. But no, seriously. So, I talked about my friend. I think that set in more recently, but to take it down to a more granular level, when it actually set in that, professional sports wasn't going to be my future, probably was a year after I finished playing. So I had a decent, I had a decent career at Prairie View A&M. I had actually just got named like top 5 players of the decade for Prairie View A&M. When I was there, I was up in the discussion, defensive player of the year, leading the conference in steals, top in the country in assists. The year I was there, they previously broke our record when they went to the tournament 2 years ago. But the year I was there before, we had the most conference wins for Prairie View history. It helped my coach get his contract extended, so we had a pretty decent year. So I thought that basketball was my next stop, my next endeavor was to go play professional. Afterwards, I went to South America, taking tours in Costa Rica, playing in Mexico, Colombia. Had came back to the U.S., tried out with a few NBA D-League teams, Dallas Mavericks, Oklahoma City Thunder. I actually, had got called back by them. They really liked the effort and, my playing style. I ended up getting cut in training camp, but, I had different avenues and channels of sports that I was pursuing. And it got to a point where I was, traveling. For example, I was in Nicaragua, and I was just, there living like a citizen of Nicaragua. And I really wasn't living the luxurious life that people would think you are when you're playing basketball overseas. Unless you're really there in the trenches, it's really hard to explain. But, it started to set in on me, like maybe, there's different opportunities. I started to kind of second guess my career. And then it was hitting me because one of my, it was 4 seniors that graduated with me. One was playing in Germany, one was playing in Iceland. One was playing over in China, and the deals I was getting were kind of like short seasons or kind of bogus deals. So I always think there's a bigger purpose that you can't really see, you know, where your life is taking you. Sometimes you just can't see it. You just have to keep working at whatever your craft is and, you know, just, you know, kind of live by faith, not by sight. And I really couldn't just understand at that point why it was just happening to me. Like, I was working hard every day. You know, I put the work in the court, on the court, after hours. And it just wasn't really hitting me. And then at that point, I was dating someone, actually, to be honest. And she kind of put me in the limelight of, you know, introducing me to a few gentlemen who franchised a few Subways. You know, they were former athletes, so they kind of mentored me and told me, hey, you know, if you're not thinking maybe this is the route, explore different options while you work on two different options in parallel. So I was still trying to get overseas options. I ended up getting a deal to go to Europe while I was studying for my GMAT to get in business school. So maybe within the same month, I had got a deal to go play in Europe. And I also got accepted into 3 grad schools for my MBA, Southern Methodist, SMU in Dallas, University of Miami, and Syracuse. All gave me full rides. And the deal I've been waiting on finally came in at the same time. So it hit me. I had to make a decision, you know, just speaking with different people, you know, who've been in my predicament. You know, a lot of them say this opportunity, you can always go back to school, but the opportunity you got is opportunity I wouldn't pass. You know, I weighed my pros and my cons, and I decided to kind of just give it up from there. Just kind of based on the situation I was in, I just made a judgment call, as Daytrieon was saying. You know, I just wanted to utilize this position I was in to come to Miami, get my MBA, and that as well was a life-changing experience. Sports is always going to be a game that I love, and you know, I'll never give up. I'm always going to compete. But, you know, coming to get my MBA, the network I built, the opportunities I'm seeing after, you know, graduating, and the longevity of, you know, going back to school is something I think I may not have gotten if I would have continued to play on the route I was playing. So, you know, just weighing my pros and cons, looking more long-term as opposed to the short-term and what makes me happy and, you know, what looks cool, just playing basketball, saying I'm playing overseas, as opposed to really putting my future first, was the moment where I noticed, it really hit me that, you know, maybe it's time to not give up the game, but, you know, just pursue a different route and see where life takes me.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no, I was going to say, and then to the second part of your question, like, what was that like? When I first opened up the previous question, I told you, you know, college, the experience as a D1 athlete was probably the best experience of my life. And I would say the transition of coming out of, you know, to stop playing ball to go to grad school was probably the hardest transition I ever had in my life. And I've been through some tough situations growing up, tough living environments, but this was probably the toughest transition mentally on me. You know, going from not playing ball anymore to going back to school, not being a student athlete anymore, giving up a game that you grew up on, that you love playing since you were 4. You know, it's probably my first time I ever just broke down and cried to my mom. She'd never seen me like that. It really was hard. It was tough. But I'm glad I stuck through it, and it really put me in a different space in life. And, you know, I'm thankful that I was able to, you know, to make that transition. But it was really one of the toughest transitions that I ever, you know, experienced in my life.
Definitely. I mean, a lot of people go through that, right? Transition is hard, you know, whether or not you transition out of athletics or you transition from just a regular college student to working a 9 to 5, you know, it's always difficult, you know. And so one of the things I wanted to touch on is, you know, when you play a sport, you know, there's a lot of skills that you pick up that are transferable into the workplace, right? So, you know, Daytrieon, what are some of those skills that you use today in your role as a technical analyst that you picked up when you were playing ball?
Great question. I think the first one is time management. And I know a lot of people hear that, they throw it around, time management, being a student athlete, but like it is. I mean, me coming in as a freshman at the University of Arkansas in the SEC, I mean, we would have weights at 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning, and everybody better be on time. You know, everybody better be there. You better be looking the same, dressed the same. And so time management was one of those things that was always in the back of our mind. And sometimes we got punished for it. For example, I'll never forget it. One of my roommates, it was a Friday afternoon in summer in like June. We had weights at like 5 a.m. So he doesn't show up. He's late. So our strength coach, as typically as he does, he was say, hey, come back at 2 o'clock this afternoon. It's a Friday in the summer. So we come back at 2 o'clock. My roommate again doesn't show up on time. He says, okay, let's try 7 o'clock. This one on Friday in the summer. We come back at 7 o'clock. He doesn't show up again. This is the third time in a row. And then he was like, okay, we'll come back at 2 a.m. And we came back at 2 a.m. and lifted weights. And from that day on, I just realized that being on time is very, very important. And, having your class schedules, like where you have to be on time, where you got class checkers come to make sure you at class on time. And then if you're not, you're going to get punished. You have to run after practice. So being on time is something that is instilled in you as an athlete, and something that's very important. I think that has transferred to me being a technical analyst at Citrus, because being on time to meetings, obviously right now with COVID, we're all working from home. You got to be on time to these meetings, these virtual meetings. There's really no excuse to be late. And so I think time management was one of the biggest things. And I also would say probably, working in different teams, meeting different people. It was some guys on my team, being on a football team is 120 different personalities. You're not going to gel with everybody. You're not going to be buddy with everybody. And I think, being on a team and trying to work for a common goal with different individuals, different backgrounds, different cultures, different ways there are different upbringings. I think that was something that helped me internships and with my current role, because you have to work with some individuals sometimes that you don't see eye to eye. Maybe they say things to you say things that really doesn't align with your beliefs, whatever. So I think just time management and just, being able to work in a team environment is something that's very important, that being a D1 athlete has showed me. And I'm trying to think what else. Those two is the top ones to me, just, in the work ethic. Being in SEC, everybody's strong, everybody big, everybody fast, everybody got talent. And so every day, are you going to work? Like Trey was saying on Saturdays, that's some of the things I used to do. I used to go to the facility. We had 24/7 access. Go out the facility and get a little bit of extra work, some get off drills, things of that nature. So I think the work ethic, time management, and being able to work with other team members is one of the top 3 things that I can say that my college experience has helped me in corporate America right now. So.
Definitely. Trey, anything that you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think, he made a great point, just to add a few different things. So being, a college athlete, you learn a lot of soft skills that you wouldn't necessarily think that you've learned over the time, but they definitely translate to the business world or whatever industry you want to go to. Just kind of allude to what he said, one of the biggest things is time management. My role I'm in now, working on a lot of high priority projects. So under the limelight of, senior leadership, and, time management is key, making sure you have everything on time, meeting deadlines, as again, working in team environments. And one thing I learned being a college athlete is when you're a teammate, you not only hold yourself accountable, but you help hold your peers accountable as well, being in a team environment. So just working on like a lot of project assignments at my job, just making sure I hold myself accountable, not being a person that's, bringing the team down or, causing things to move a little bit slower. It's just something I learned from, playing sports. My work ethic is something I learned, from playing sports. Now I'm willing to work around the clock. I've set a reputation in my company that, if something needs to get done and Trey is assigned to Trey make sure it gets done. They don't ask if it's too much anymore. Just say, hey, we know Trey to get it done. And it's just a mentality that you have from playing sports. Whatever it is that needs to get done, just make it happen. One of the biggest things also, just looking at the outlook and where I want to be in the future horizon, one of the things I've learned being a point guard and being a leader is how to motivate different people. Long term in my career, I want to be in a position of leadership. And one thing I've learned from sports is, different people have different ways of being motivated. You can't motivate everyone the same way. And one of the things I learned from sports is how to really engage with people, learn what motivates them. And, I think that's one thing a leader is really good at, learning his peers and people who work with him, because it's not really you that's going to make, whatever you're doing excel. It's going to be the people on your team that you have around you that's really going to help you succeed. So I think that's one of the things that was really good for me to learn, being a business academic now and trying to really, grow and develop myself. Also, one thing I think that was very pivotal, being a team captain and a point guard, was communication. My coach always said, I was the coach on the floor. I was the mouth of the team. So, I always had to communicate, whether it's talking to defense, calling the plays, holding everyone accountable. That had to be me. And that's, one thing that's key now, whether it's, in these type of panel scenarios, giving presentations to senior leadership, communication, just building relationships within the company or even on your own network outside of work as well. I think that's, very key, a very important, significant key to success. Just having great communication skills to being able to network and leverage that as well. And that's one major thing that I think I've really learned from playing sports. And I think he kind of hit on everything else from there. But it really just like a lot of soft skills that, I was able to translate from playing sports.
Definitely. So Daytrieon, so what advice? We have a few guys that, high school athletes on the call, and some that are transitioning from high school to college, and some that are already in college. So what advice would you give for like a current college student athlete?
Advice I'd give, especially if they were young, would probably be just, work your butt off, show your coach that, you're reliable, they can depend on you. Take care of your grades. Cause I've seen a lot of guys, they don't take care of their grades, and so they end up, getting kicked off the team, being academically ineligible. So take care of your grades be the first thing. Like I said, work hard on and off the field, do the right things, make the right decisions. It's being on a college campus. It's a lot of things pulling at you, a lot of people, a lot of different things. Life pulling at you. Your family's back at home. If you're not local, it's pulling at you. So I'd say just stay focused, work hard. Make sure your coaches know that they can depend on you because that matters. Like I said, referring to the other question, being on time. If you constantly late, your coach is going to be like, okay, when my job on the line, we playing LSU and it's 3rd and 15, I can't count to come to wait sometimes. So being on time and that thing relates to your playing time. So if you want to have more playing time, your grades matter. Being on time matters because then you're building trust with your coaches. Some other advice I give would just, have fun with it. Work hard, but have fun because college is supposed to be fun. I think my early years when I was at Arkansas and SEC, I think I took it too serious. Like sometimes you could take your college sports a little bit too serious, and I did that. I worked hard, but I think I didn't have enough fun. I didn't do enough the things that you're supposed to do as a college student, and that's the biggest advice I can tell you is have fun, work hard, let your coaches know from day one that they can trust you, you're dependable. So when your time comes to get the playing time, they can trust you because in some scenarios, they job on the line, they got to be able to trust you. And when you make the transition to corporate America, your boss need to be able to trust you. Like Trey was saying about, having deadlines and having certain projects, they need to be able to depend on you, know that you can get the job done effectively and in a timely manner. So I'd say, have fun, but work hard and do the things that you're supposed to do. If you make that transition from high school to college, soak it up, get ready to put your head down and work. If you're already in the grind, just keep going, man, and make smart decisions and get a good circle. Make sure you network. I always tell every athlete I talk to, ball out on the field, get your grades, but network, because it doesn't make sense if you go to these big universities or whatever university you go to, and you come out with a college degree, a little bit of playing time, a couple friends, but you don't have no networks. You have no alumni that you can call up or whatever and get in contact with about other things. Maybe they can mentor you throughout your playing time or your college career and mentor you through businesses, on the outside. That's one thing I did personally. I remember in one of my industrial engineering classes, a guy had came back and was talking to our class because in Arkansas, Walmart's pretty big. So we had a guy, executive from Walmart, come talk to us. And, I started talking to him. He sent him a quick email like, hey, man, thanks for coming talking to us. And he started telling me about one of his, because he was an entrepreneur, he told me about one of his ideas that he had going on. And me and my girlfriend at the time, we went, had lunch with them. And he was doing some things in the medical field. Long story short, fast forward 5-6 years down the road now, this dude, one of his company that he built from the ground up is about to be a multi-million-dollar company. Just connecting those dots, man. Just you never know who's going to become who. Not saying just build relationships on a what if. I'm just saying just reach out to alumni, build that relationship, so one day you can call back, say, hey man, do you remember me? And like, yeah, I do remember you, Daytrieon. I do remember you, Trey. You was the guy that only reached out. You was the only guy in the class that reached out to me, sent that email. So I think that's very important. Just have fun, keep your head down, make the right decisions, and network, man. If you come out with at least 5 people you can call, I think that'd be really good.
Okay. All right. And so Trey, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to relate. We have some college athletes on here now. Just thinking back on my experience, I want to try to relate as much as possible. For one, I want to say, at the end of the day, uh, we're all still kids. I want you to just enjoy, enjoy, enjoy it, enjoy it. College was gonna be some of the best times of your life. As he alluded to, you're gonna meet some guys you're gonna call brothers for life. Memories you're always gonna talk about. You're playing sports, you're gonna be the guys that's gonna be at your wedding, some of your best men, groomsmen, um, or bridesmaids, whoever's on the call. Just please enjoy it, and take advantage of it. It's gonna be the best times of your life. You're gonna learn so much. It's gonna be a life-changing experience. It's just something you'll never forget. Two, one thing, if we do have, people going to college to play sports, or any athletes that are on the call now, just speaking out to you, one thing I want to tell you, when you're an athlete, you're going to have a lot of people in your ear, whether it's your coaches, friends. One thing I would tell you, just advice from me, as you prepare, make sure you stay on top of your grades, study hall. It's very important. My coach used to tell me you have time for two things to excel in. You're going to have academics, you're going to have basketball, and then you're going to have the college life experience, aka the women. Don't dedicate all your time to that. Giving your time to people that's always going to, it's not really going to benefit your life. Make sure you focus on your grades, and make sure you put the time in where it's dedicated, what's providing for you, which is that athletic scholarship. Take advantage of it to, grow yourself mentally. And also, I want to say one last thing. Whatever you're doing, whether it's sports, I know there's a lot of times where athletes, get into it with the coaches, or, say, hey, I'm not doing good because my coach doesn't like me, or, a lot of times there's scenarios like that. Please don't let that be an excuse for, putting your full effort for it. Don't let anyone stop you from what you want to do. Strive for greatness. I'll give a quick story. My freshman year, I told you I walked on, the head coach was telling me, like, our starting point guard shouldn't be a walk-on. Telling that to the starters, like the people on scholarship right in front of me, as it didn't affect me. At points, we're in a hotel watching film, and the coach is like, yo, we have a starting point guard as a walk-on, doesn't really have a left hand. So when people that could be deteriorating some people, mentally. Your own coaches on your team, your side, talking about you right in front of you, saying you shouldn't be a starter, saying he doesn't have a left hand, this and that. And some players may shy away or back down. One thing I want to tell you is don't let anyone deteriorate you from what you want to do, what you want to become. Whatever anyone says, don't listen to them. The person who says I can, the person who says I can't are both right. I want to reiterate that to young people. Whatever you put your mind to, you can do it. And I'll tell you how everything comes in a full circle. My senior year, I didn't listen to any of them. I transferred to a junior college. We became number 6 in the country, had over 10 D1 offers. My senior year, our assistant coach ended up leaving. The coach that said my freshman year I had no left hand needed a job because he got fired from FAMU. That year, my senior year, I was the captain. The coach said, hey, Trey, if you want me to bring this coach on board, he says he knows you as a guard coach. I said, coach, if you bring him, I'm not playing for you. And he called the next day, said, I can't bring you on. Everything turns into full circle. Those days I was working hard to get to my next D1 offer. I was thinking in my head, the coach didn't have a left hand, this and that. Those things motivate you. They fuel you. Like, don't let any coach, anyone stop you from telling you what you can and can't do. It's all up to you. It's all mental. 99% of the game is mental. Don't let anyone stop you. Anything you want to do, put your mind to it, and you can do it. I guarantee it. Don't let anyone stop you. You may fail. All it is a learning lesson. Don't stop. Whatever you want to put your life to, whether it's sports, academics, you want to be an astronaut, you want to be a barber, be the best damn barber in the world. Whatever you want to do, be the best at it. Don't stop. Whatever you want to do, chase your dream, chase your passion, chase your career, and keep the outside noises out and stay focused on whatever you want to do. That's the biggest piece of advice I can give to anyone. It's all mental. So, just focus on your craft and stay, strong in the books.
Most definitely. So we're getting ready to come into the Q&A part. We have a few questions in the chat. So to all the attendees, if you do have a question, go ahead and put it in the chat, and we're going to start answering those questions in a second. The last thing that I wanted to touch on is, let's talk about the money, right? So, how were you able to capitalize on being on a scholarship? I was on academic scholarships, and I was able to capitalize on a lot. Coming out with not a lot of debt, able to do a few investments right out of college. So, for you guys, was there anything that you were able to do that you would like to share with any of the youth on the call maybe some pointers on how to make the most of being on a scholarship and the money aspect of playing ball.
Albert, yeah. So
Daytrieon, go ahead.
So yeah, I think that's a great question. If you're on full full ride athletic scholarship, or partial, whatever your situation is, if you're paying for all your school or not, I think one thing that you should do or you should consider is saving your money. That's one thing I did. I mean, I actually broke down some of the numbers for you to kind of put it in perspective. So being FBS SEC football player in at Arkansas, low income. I don't come from a wealthy family, so I was on. So every semester you get roughly around $2,500. FAFSA, just like federal aid that the government provides if you come from a low income family. So I was getting $2,500 a semester with just FAFSA. My football stipend was around $4,500. And then on top of that, you get cost of attendance. Well, cost of attendance, what they do with that is pretty much what they do. It's different from each school. So cost of attendance is basically saying how much would it cost for Daytrieon or Trey to come to the school, and gas, their housing, clothing, food. So they give you cost of attendance. If I'm not mistaken, that's around $2,000. So each semester you're seeing roughly around $8,000-9,000 easily. And so the biggest thing I tell you is save it, because if you do the math real quick, I mean, you've seen a lot of money. You're seeing a lot of money in 4 or 5 year, span. Because if you think about it, your freshman year, I think you have to live on campus, so you're not paying for your housing your freshman year, so you can save that up. And I know the first thing you want to do is go buy the Jordans or go buy this or go buy that, because I did it myself. But save it though, because it's a lot of money. Save it for a rainy day, and I'll get to that in a minute. But save that money. You can invest it. I would research about some stocks, or maybe even try to research about maybe buying your first property. I know a lot of y'all not thinking about that, but think about it. Either save it, invest it in the stock market, put it for the manage for a pretty cool. I know a lot of guys. We had a lot of dudes from Florida that they would save their money up and buy a car. That's how much money it was. They'll buy a car their second year. I know a dude. He saved all his money up, bought him a 2018 at the time, I think. I'm like, dang, bro, saved his money up and bought it. So that's what in your food too. Like, I'll never forget. I think it happened about 8-9 years ago. I think it was the NCAA tournament, and like I guess some players I guess it was after the game. They won a national championship. They was basically telling the people like, hey, we go to bed hungry, this and that. That kind of made a lot of people furious. So they changed a lot of protocols NCAA have. So they have to provide you food, after practice and this and that. So, and I know a lot of universities, a lot of different levels are a little bit different, but I'm talking about the SEC level. That's how it was provided for us, was that they would feed us after every practice. I mean, you never went hungry. And so you're not really paying for food is what I'm getting at. So just save your money, and if in another thing, a creative way, I wish I could do it. Airbnb, I know right now we got COVID going on, but once this thing passes and you're, think about how to do a side hustle. I had told one of my friends, like, hey, look, do an Airbnb out your other room, and now you got a little bit extra income coming in, and now you could, but just be careful with that. But that's just something to consider. But I'll say just save that money, man, because they're gonna give you a lot of money. I mean, I think I calculated what 30,000 come out with at least over 4 years. So play your cards right. Reach out to some people about what you can do with your money, but save it and invest it. But also spend a little bit for you, because I know when I coming from a low income environment, the first thing I want to do is get the Jordans, get this, get that, and kind of flex a little bit. But reconsider about saving that money. So that's all I really got, man. That's all I got.
All right, Trey, anything you want to add to that in regards to the money aspect?
Yeah, I would say go to the SEC. Damn it. we weren't getting no monthly stipend, I'll tell you that. We got a one-time $2,800. Make sure you work hard to get to the SEC. That would be my advice.
No doubt.
No, I think that was a great piece of advice. If you are in a school, I know certain schools do give stipends. Just try to, like I said, learn the stock market. I know when I try to put myself, when we give these type of discussions, I try to put myself in the shoes of someone, their age and what I was doing at their age. And like you said, I wasn't really worried about the stock market or different things, but I didn't have anyone in my ear telling me just kind of look at it. I didn't have so much information so easily accessible either. So, just take advantage of the things, people tell you, just, look at the stock market. There's easy ways for you to make more money, flip the money you do have. So I really don't have, much outside of what he said. I think he gave some great advice, but, my main piece would be, make sure he gets to the SEC. They're giving out checks.
Yeah, they're taking care of them boys in the SEC. All right, so hey, we're gonna go into some of the questions from the audience. We have our facilitators out here, Cooper. You can go ahead and go into some of the Q&A from the audience. Like Zaire might be on mute.
Yeah.
All right,
Would you
go ahead. There you go.
First question by Jacid is, how important is it as a high school prospect to choose a destination that you can see yourself living in after college? Is it over if you don't make it to the pros? How many high school stars have a hard time going back home, not fulfilling the promise the neighborhood they came from expected them?
You want to take that one?
Whoever would like to answer that question.
Yeah, I guess I can take a stab at it.
Okay.
So I think you can take it in consideration, definitely take in consideration when you're making that decision on what school you want to go to. I always tell people, envision yourself there even without football. If you can do that, then that's a really good school for you because you never know what can happen. I know a lot of guys who had career-ending injuries where they actually had to stay at the university because the university is going to pay for them to, get their education. So if you really hate that team, that doesn't make a lot. But I get what you're asking. Take the area in consideration. I definitely would. That's something that frustrates me a lot because I've been on multiple different teams at multiple different levels, and I've seen a lot of guys once they finished up and I never understood it. They go right back into their environments and they be like, "Man, you have a college degree. What are you doing going right back into where you come from? I know we have family there, but we have to branch out and make our family stronger." And I get what you're saying, but I think that with that question, I think you should take in consideration, but at the same time, just know that you can always move different places. If you want to stay around your area that you went to school, that's great. But make sure you have good education outside of the sport. And I definitely know it could be hard to go back home knowing that you was the high school phenom. And I kind of dealt with that a little bit too. Being from Arkansas, I was the #1 defensive lineman in my state. I was Arkansas Defensive Lineman of the Year. Had a lot of accolades, and for me not to make it to the league or the NFL or any other type of pro level kind of frustrated a lot of people. So when I went home, previously people would just question why I did this or why I did that, and it could be a lot of pressure on a young kid. But don't let that discourage you to any point where you don't feel like you can go home. I've heard stories of guys. It was a guy that from my state named Alte Tenpenny. He actually went to University of Alabama. He had Alvin Kamari. I think at the time, I want to say Derrick Henry, all them guys in front of him. He actually was one of the best running backs from the state of Arkansas, and he had bounced around a bunch of schools. And on his way back, coming from his last previously school, he got kicked off the team, and he, theory has it that he, kind of fell asleep at the wheel, but people think he just killed himself because there was so much pressure on him to be successful in football and to be so scared to come home. Don't let that scare you, man. You live your life and know that you gave it your all, and that's it, because nobody can judge you but God. And I think, you should definitely take in consideration the area that you choose to, but don't let that pressure ever just scare you or whatever, because it has escalated way past than what it should have been. But
yeah. Thank you.
Anything you want to I was going to ask if Trey had anything he wanted to add to that.
Yeah, sorry about that. Just to add a few things. I know we may be running out of time. Just to add a few things to that. If you do have multiple schools that you're being recruited by, one of the things I would say, not so much as important when you're an undergrad and playing sports as the city, but just make sure you have that connection with the coach. Just kind of notice, how the coaches recruit you. If they really care about you, not just to bring you on and help them win the program, they actually care about you as a person. And that's what made me ultimately choose my decision. I didn't choose the highest ranked school, the best school in the best conference. But my coach took, he called me every day, talked to me about life, talking about opportunities after life. He really showed that he genuinely cared about me as a person. And today we still have a conversation. He called and checking me to see how work is going. Just, saying he's proud and still continues to just, stay in contact with me. So when you choose schools, make sure you have that connection with your coach, whoever's a recruiter, and they really genuinely care about you. And also, when you're comparing schools, make sure you just don't look at it from a sports perspective. We talked about, working in two different paths parallel of sports and, academia. Make sure you choose a school that has a good brand name from an academic standpoint as well. You may have Ivy League, not a good sports team, but long term, you'd rather go to Ivy League and, play sports, you get that experience. But just having that brand name on your background, on your resume, just keep those things in mind. I think that's one thing that I didn't take into consideration when I was making my decision, and one thing I would change as well. Just know, like, the school you go to, and if you go off in your career, just having that name on your resume is something that's going to help you, propel in your career or whatever you decide to do. Have those connections and networks, just that alumni name behind you. It's just one piece of advice I give. And it's not, where you have that name on your resume, now you can get a job in any city. So don't worry about what city. You're not going to be stuck or tied to any city once you graduate. There's so many different opportunities, so much to see, so much to do. You're such a young age. Don't think you're tied to any city. And just kind of to alluding what Daytrieon was saying, please don't put any pressure. Whatever you do, you're playing with your name on your back, you're representing your family and your morals and your family ethics. But whatever you do, don't play for anyone else. Play for yourself. When you put your shoes on to get on the field every day, you're not going out there playing, just to show your friends back home. You're doing this for yourself. You wake up every morning and work out. You wake up every morning and put the effort in. You're the one putting the work in. You do everything you do is for yourself, for your future, your career. Yeah, you represent your family name, but whatever you do, just know you do it for yourself, and don't ever think that people's expectations back home. Someone who's as doing as good as you, going off playing ball and playing, college and doing great things that you're doing, they won't have these expectations for you. They're going to be living the same life you're doing, chasing their own dreams. They're going to want to see you propel and be successful in your life. So don't worry about people who still back home having expectations of you. You're going off doing new and great things. So don't worry about people who still back home and what they think of you. Just continue to be great, continue to excel, and like I said, just strive for greatness.
Yeah, no, most definitely. And so we have a few more questions. So everyone, I just want to let you know, like, we are going to go into about 7:30. So we're going to have 30 minutes of an open discussion. We've got quite a few questions in the chat. Before we continue, there was someone I wanted to introduce and bring into the panel. Michael Alvin is actually one of the scholarship recipients from the AG Leadership Academy this year. Was a part of Deerfield Beach's football team, headed off to Edward Waters College to play football. So Michael, go ahead and introduce yourself, and if you have any questions for the panel, go ahead. You're on mute right now. There you go.
You hear me?
Yep.
How you guys doing? My name is Michael Alvin. I just came out of Deerfield Beach. I'll be going to Edward Waters College. I'm looking forward, being a student athlete and being able to make myself proud first, and then, set a good example for my family. Nice to meet you guys, by the way. I'm sorry. I couldn't hear you guys at first.
No problem. All right. So Zaire, you can go into the questions. So we got about 3 or 4 more questions. So Zaire, you could just go ahead and round robin the questions to the panel.
Okay. This next one's by Gary. What would you say to a full ride football athlete that feels that they were under recruited and thinking about transferring? Should they be a big fish in a little pond or transfer to a larger body of water?
Trey, you want to take that one first?
Yeah, so that's a great question. It all depends. Me personally, if I feel like I'm under recruited, especially playing football, from football, it's just different from basketball. There's so many different rounds of the draft. You come from smaller schools and get drafted as opposed to basketball. It's a little more political. So I would say if I'm playing football and, I was underrated, I think that would be fuel for my fire every morning to get up and grind and work my butt off every day to say, hey man, I think I'm better than this. I think I should be at a better school, and I'm proving it every day in practice. I'm proving it every day on the field, every day, every game. I'm proving that I should be at another level. I think from there, if you really use that as fuel to your fire, I think the proof is in the pudding, and wherever you're meant to be, you'll end up at. From a football perspective, if you're going to a small school, you can still make it to the NFL if you really put in that effort. If you really think you're you're better than you are, I mean, then you do have the route. If you really put the effort in your freshman year and you want to transfer and you get recognized and you still have that same fuel to keep going, don't let me or someone else say, hey, stick it out. It's ultimately you who's going to make the decision. But starting off, I would say just use that, every morning fuel, breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever you do, just make sure you give 150%. If you think you're better than where you're at, then just show it, prove it.
Definitely. Daytrieon, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. First of all, I want to say, man, like, it's tons of talent out there. Don't, like Trey was saying, I mean, it's a lot of guys that get under recruited. You never know who's going to be the next this or that, whatever. So don't ever let that discourage you just because you're not in SEC or you're not in the Big 12 or whatever level you want to play at. I would say it depends, and there's a lot of things that it depends on. It depends on, what are you really looking for? Are you looking for the fame, or are you looking for the opportunity to really try to go to the league? Maybe that opportunity is at the school that you currently attended, or maybe it is going to another big school. So it all depends on what you're trying to do. I know we live in a social media world where everybody wants the likes and this and that and the fame. I think if you're really trying to go to my point of view, coming out of high school, I would have went either the JUCO route or to a smaller level, because I felt like I would develop a little bit more. So it depends on your situation, what you're trying to do. Analyze it from all different angles. I transferred. It sounds like Trey transferred as well. So I think just you analyze the whole situation. If you're trying to go to the pros and you feel like your chances are better going to a bigger school, know that it comes with more competition, more pressure, but do it though. If that was you feel like it's in your heart to go compete at that level, then go do it. Just know, analyze the pros and cons of that. Don't just make a decision just because you feel like this would be cool or this and that. Because a lot of guys choose schools just because it felt cool to go to that school. Don't do that. Just analyze it. See if it outweigh the pros and cons, and you'll be fine.
Thank you. Another question by Gary: was it difficult to go to a school far from home? Were you homesick? Was there a culture shock? And did you want to leave during that following season? Or did you feel well adjusted to your community?
I'll take this one. So me being from Arkansas, me attending the University of Arkansas first, well, quick little fact, the school I attended is only about an hour from my crib, so it's really far for me. So I'm a mama's boy, so man, I actually I'll go home all the time. But once I decided to transfer, I was stuck. I could have went to another local university at the Division I FCS level, or I could have tried to explore some other options, maybe go to Kentucky or California or Texas. And I was at a standpoint. I was like, hey, do I stay home or do I transfer to a school far, far from home? So I decided to go to Texas. West Texas at that, in the middle of nowhere. But with your question, man, and I think I grew because of that, because I was so used to my town, or so knowing everything, where to go here and there, seeing the same faces. So I decided to take a chance and go to a bigger city in Texas and expand my horizon a little bit in the world. And I think it was a great decision, but it all depends on your situation and what you're looking to get out of it. And I did get homesick. My first semester, I tore my ACL. My grades started slipping a little bit. Far from home, my parents can't come visit me for financial reasons. So it was very tough at times. My first semester there, it was a lot of adversity. And I did feel that pressure of missing home and having nights where I would just cry to myself because everything was falling apart in my eyes. But I think, like I said, it depends, man. Just keep in contact with your family. The one thing I regret a lot is that I didn't go back home a lot. Being an athlete, I think that's one thing me and Trey didn't mention, is that sometimes you're going to miss Christmas. Sometimes you're going to miss Thanksgiving and things of that nature. So just be aware of that and know that being far from home, that could be a con when it comes to you choosing your school. But so,
yeah. Anything you want to add to that, Trey?
No, I think you made a great point. I would say just from my experience, when I first went out to Prairie View in Houston, and I grew up in small country town, Georgia, then I went to Pensacola, then Tallahassee. So I never really lived in a major city. Moved outside of Houston. It was a culture shock. My first 2 weeks there, I didn't have any cable or Wi-Fi. I went there early, so I didn't have any roommates yet. And I broke my phone, so I didn't have anyone to talk to. I was just in my room literally all day till the coach came and got me. And I told him maybe after week 1, I said, hey, man, I think I'm ready to go back home. I was just ready to get out of it. I was just bored out of my mind. Didn't know anyone. You know, he took me to the grocery store, bought me some groceries. Teammates started to come in, started connecting with them, and next thing you know, it just turned into like an amazing experience. So, you know, it's going to be a hard transition. You just got to learn how to adapt. That's one thing I also learned from playing sports, is adapt to your environment, the current situation you're in. Nothing is ever permanent. Most things that aren't good for you are normally temporary to get to, you know, better days. So I would say whatever your situation you're going through, whenever you do go off to college, you know, stick through it. There will be better days, and, you know, maybe times where you miss your friends, family, you know, give them a call, FaceTime. It's so easy nowadays, so just don't get discouraged. You left home for a good reason, so, you know, don't turn back now.
Definitely. And like, I want to add to that. So like, I didn't play college ball here, but I actually went to school in Europe, and I actually made the team for my team over in London. And so I was really far away from home. I was in a whole nother country. And I will say this, you know, that was one of the most life-changing experiences, being so far away from home, because I grew up here in South Florida. I went to college in Tampa. So, you know, it was nothing for me to like my dad can call me early on a Sunday and say, hey, I'm on the grill. I drive back from Tampa and then like wake up at 5 o'clock on Monday and come back to campus, you know. But living in London, it really taught me how to be my own man and how to get used to doing things by yourself and doing the things that you want to do. You know, because when you grow up and you have a lot of friends and you go to college and you have a lot of friends, you're going to have teammates. You kind of, even if you are a leader, you're not going to always be the person that's going to make that decision. You're going to have to go with what everybody else is doing. So for me, when I was living in London and being in a whole different country, I had to figure out like, okay, like who you really are as a person. What do you really find value in? What do you like to do? Because a lot of times it wasn't about that you didn't have anybody to do things with. It was like, okay, like, well, the people that I know are not interested in the things that I'm interested in. And when you're in an environment where you know everyone, that's a little difficult to kind of just break away. But when you're in an environment where you don't know too many people, you can kind of break away and do whatever you want. So that was one thing I wanted to add to that. And so we have another question. Sounds like this one is from a high school student. And so it says, I'm going to paraphrase a little bit. But they were saying that this past school year, this person really wanted to play sports and go down the path of playing football. But for whatever reason, they kind of had some reservations because they weren't knowledgeable about the sport. And so they wanted to know, you know, how can they go into something that's pretty new to them and actually put themselves in action when it comes to sports. So it sounds like they're having some reservations about maybe going out for the team. And I mean, we've all been there, right? So we all at some point in time went out for a team. And so anyone wants to kind of give that person any advice?
Can I?
Oh, go ahead, Michael.
Okay. I would say, you know, go to a school where you know that you'll be able to show what talent you have and show your skills and be able to, you know, get play time. Because at the end of the day, you have to work to be able to get to the top. Because I remember my freshman year, I came in, I played JV, and, you know, I felt kind of discouraged about it. And then I talked to my brother about it, and he was just like, you know, don't worry about it. You'll be all right. You know, your senior year, you'll be on varsity. You know, you just keep working, keep working. Then I was small. I had to be about, 5'11". I was 260. So I grew up, you know, to be about 6'3", 290. And, you know, my senior year, I felt like that was my best performance. So go to a school where you know you feel like home, and, you know, you don't feel like an oddball to anybody, or, you know, you feel out of the normal with anybody. You know, just make sure you put in the work and you work every day, and you show your coaches, you know, I'm that dude. You know, if you need me to get in there for the last 3 seconds of the game and I need to get a sack, I'm that dude. Just, you know, let them know that you're trustworthy, and that's all I would say.
Most definitely. And so we have another question. I know Trey and Daytrieon, they kind of touched on this already, but we can circle back to this. And if anyone has something they want to add. So the question is, why not try to go pro and then have a backup plan. So at least you can say you tried. And I mean, from what I heard, it sounded like everybody tried. I mean, Trey was he was kind of at a crossroads. It sounded like everybody tried, but you know, things may not have happened the way they wanted. So if anyone wants to kind of touch on that, that was one of the audience questions.
Yeah, I'll take that one, or start off at least. Yeah, for sure. You're young, definitely try to go pro. Like, if you're young, you got so much time to, I wouldn't say it in a negative way, but you have time to go back to school, like to get your master's or whatever, like finish your bachelor's. And while you're young, you're 21, 22, you got your bachelor's degree, you got time to figure life out. Like, try to go pro. But my thing is, when I say, okay, you try to go pro, make sure preparation meets opportunity. If you're not prepping to be a pro, going up to you graduate, and now you think you're going to be a pro just because you graduated and your years are over, it's not going to work like that. So my thing is, if you try to go pro, make sure you're putting yourself in a position to become a pro once you graduate. Make sure you're working hard every day throughout all 4 years of school, 3 years, how many years you go before you go pro. Yeah, that was the plan for everyone. Everyone thinks they're going to go pro, but you know, as I look back, did I prepare myself to be a pro when the opportunity met itself? You know, I was at all these NBA workouts, D-League workouts. You know, my freshman year, I was working, my freshman year, when I was trying to make the team, I was running stadiums at night on my own time, running stadiums at night, running the football field. And when I came in the first practice, I came on the lane and dunked on someone. You know, I made the team, got a little comfortable. I stopped running stadiums. I lost a little bit of my explosiveness. But people who are pros, they probably ran stadiums 4 years straight throughout the whole entire career. Like, real pros actually working like a pro. So, yeah, go pro, but it's not easy. That's all I want to say. If you want to go pro, make sure you put that as the first thing you want to do every day when you wake up. Treat your body like a pro. You know, you can't be out there drinking and smoking so much. Your health is key. Like, if you really want to be a pro, you got to really dedicate your life to it. It'll be the greatest outcome ever, but you really have to dedicate your life to it if you want to be a pro. It's much, much, much harder than you think. But no one's saying why not. Don't try to take this route. Yeah, you're young. Try to be a pro. It's what you do. It's your passion. It's your love. Go for it. Just make sure you know it's hard. It's harder than you think. And just make sure you put in 150% every day. Ask yourself, did I work as hard as I could today? And if the answer is no, you're not putting yourself in a position to be a pro.
Definitely. Good answer. Good answer. Anything you want to add, Daytrieon?
Yeah, I just kind of piggyback off that. Yeah, just, you know, if you want to go pro, like, we're not trying to say, hey, you don't have, you know, be all academic. No, we're not saying that. We're saying, you know, if you want to be a pro, it's a certain level that you got to reach. And some of it's a lot of variables that go into, you know, skill sets and a bunch of things, you know, especially with football. But just work as a pro, you know, and I can kind of talk to this a little bit, you know, being in the SEC, man, I really think it's almost the closest you can get in college to the professional level. And I've seen a lot of guys, you know, I can count on, man, we had probably about 20 guys I see, and probably only about 2 of them going to stick around for the long term. So what I'm saying by that is it's very, very difficult to make it to that level. But at the same time, it's hard to sustain that too, to stay in the league, because you got to think every year you got a different class coming in. With all that being said, just work hard. You know, if you want to go pro, every day, you know, that should be your mindset. Like he said on the weekend, instead of going out drinking this and that, you in the gym, you at the facility, you lifting extra weights, you doing extra sets, you doing this. Everybody going home, but you doing extra stuff in the weight room. You watching extra film. You on your iPad or whatever, just constantly watching film to be a pro, because that's what the pros do. And just know, if you do get a chance and opportunity and blessed enough to make it to the pros, to sustain it is even harder. So just learn those traits every day of just being a pro, and, you know, the time management and taking care of your body, and, you know, making sure you're staying healthy, putting the right things and the right foods in your body, I think is very important to get to that level. So if you want to do it, and we're here to support you, but just know that it's a grind. It takes a lot of work and a lot of effort to get to that level.
Yeah, and no means we're saying anyone can't do it. We're just saying if you want to do it, just make sure that's, you know, you put all your effort forward into doing it before you give up. So if you want to go pro, all we're saying is, you know, it's possible. Just make sure you work as hard as you can. That's all we're saying.
Definitely. And so I have a few more questions, but Michael, wanted to give you the opportunity. Is that, I mean, you've been listening in. Anything that you wanted to discuss, or anything that you would like a little bit of guidance on, you know, because I mean, you're a big part of the reason why we're here today as one of our scholarship recipients, to make sure we set you off on the right path and answer any questions you may have.
I do have a few questions. One would be, how do you deal with the pressure of being like the first to actually go to college, and not even just go to college, but graduate high school and go to college and be able to, represent for your family? Because right now, like, I would say it's a big weight on me that, I would have to, deal with all of this stuff coming up. I wouldn't say that I'm scared, but I feel that this is like a new change for me. And I know you guys were saying that college is, you want to have fun and, be able to keep your grades up. And I've always done that in high school, but this, I know this is going to be a big change, but I'm asking, like, how do you deal with that, before you take off?
Trey, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll kick it off. No, I totally get where you're coming from. I was the first one in my family to go to college as well. But I guess I think it's, however you're going to look at it. I looked at it from a totally different perspective. I'm the first one to go to college, so I'm setting the bar. I don't think there's any pressure now. Right. So, I look at it as I drove off the orientation on my own. I went down and packed my 2000 Buick up my freshman year. So my mom heading off to college. She was like, all right, talk to you later. It was just me going on my own and figuring it out. So, I just enjoyed the moment, met some good friends. Like, it wasn't, I didn't look at it like that. I didn't have pressure. They were just happy I was the first one in my family to do it. So it really wasn't expectations. I know I wanted to get to, so I didn't put pressure on my back. They know that I'm new to this. I'm the person to do it. I'm really kind of setting my generational presence up and, everyone going to school and kind of making this the routine. If they don't do something else they have a passion for. So it's all how you look at it, in my perspective. I think that, you're in a great position right now. Like, enjoy it. How old are you? 17, 18?
18.
18, when I was 18, man, they had no pressure on me, man. I was going off to school, enjoying those days, man. Working hard every day, enjoying life, talking to my mom every day, telling them about practice, telling her we're going to play this team, telling her to look on ESPN. Like, all the friends just happy for you. No pressure, man. Just enjoy it, enjoy the moment. And if it is a little pressure, you know what they say, man. Pressure busts pipes or pressure make diamonds. It's up to you to decide what you want to do. It's all up to you, man. And worst come to worst, everyone failed. I failed so many times in life. Just don't let it, stop you. Just keep growing. You're young. Learn from your mistakes. You're the first one to do it. So nothing's going to be perfect. Nothing's going to be easy. You don't have an advantage going into the position you're going. So, man, just live and learn. And don't make the same mistake twice, and to continue to grow as a person. And you'll notice over the years the man you start to grow into. And I started to notice that, when I went off to college and as I transitioned year after year after year. So, man, don't worry about the pressure. Just enjoy it. Your kids still, man. Enjoy it and just work hard as you can.
Thank you.
Okay. Any more questions?
Hold on, 1 second. Daytrieon, you want to answer that?
Yeah, I'll chime in on that one a little bit. I got a different perspective on it. My older sister, she went off to college, man, and she went to 2 different schools, and I seen her, go through the process of, drinking and having too much fun, and she failed out. She dropped out. And so, me coming up right behind her, like 6 years away with my twin sister, I knew in my head that, hey, look, don't make the same mistakes that you see somebody else make, so I was like, hey, man, just go to college, work hard, have fun, but not too much fun where, don't mix business with pleasure. Like, just keep your eye on the pot of gold, which is your degree and your chance to go to the league. If it's really not that, it's really not that important, because you're trying to take care of your family and get to a position where you can make a difference in their life. And if you back at home, stuck at home, you can't do that. So like Trey was saying, man, have fun, like enjoy it, but make sure you're making the right decisions, you're around the right people, because it's going to be guys part of your recruiting class, man, that's not going to be there year 4 or year 5 for you. And that's how it was with me. It was guys, it was like 20 of us in my class. Only about 5 of them eventually stayed at the University of Arkansas. So those numbers are real. So the thing I tell you, man, is have fun, be smart. Don't feel like it's so much pressure on you that you can't go have fun. Oh, I got to be in my books. I got to do this. I got to do that. No, don't take it like that. Just know that, hey, man, like I got my family on my back and I got it. And I'm good. I'm Gucci with it. I got it. I'm going to be fine. I'm going to take care. I'm going to get this degree. I'm going to ball out on the field. I'm going to do what I got to do. And once it's over with, I can say I gave it my all. So just have fun, bro. And you'll be fine.
That's real. Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, any other questions, Michael, or we want to go back to the audience?
You can go back to the audience. That's fine.
Okay. So another question from Gary. Right now, statistically, the numbers for D2 athletes making it pro have risen. From a player's perspective, why are those rates increasing?
Trey, I'll take this one first. So from my perspective, I think what I can say about this is that when because I was at that level, the Division I SEC level, FBS level, which is one of the highest levels you can go in football. I mean, nowadays the facilities are crazy. The money they're giving is crazy. The buildings that they have for you are crazy. I mean, the tutoring sessions they have, like, it's so much resources they have for you that I think you get pampered too much. And so, me going from Division I FCS level, I seen the ugly side of kind of college football, the grimy side of it a little bit, or, with football. And what I mean by that, not just saying it's all bad, you have less resources, less facilities, less opportunities and less trouble as the Division I FBS players. So I think the reason why you see that number is because Division II athletes, they going to practice. They not getting their clothes washed after practice. They not having hot meals all the time after practice. They don't have Gatorade during practice. So with that being said, the Division I athletes are pampered a lot, and they just get comfortable, and they want, I'm gonna transfer here because things are not going good, or I want this, I want that, and they get comfortable. The D2 players are uncomfortable. They like, man, I'm trying to get it. I'm trying to make it to the league. I'm trying to ball out, man. I got to pay for this. I got to pay for this class, this and that, blah, blah, blah. We can't lift weights in the summer because we're not getting paid throughout the summer because that's how it is at the Division II level. So I can see that hunger in the Division II players to really, really be the best athlete and ball out as much as they can because they don't have a lot to look forward to. If you can get very, very comfortable sitting at the top level of Division I football programs, you get very comfortable. So I can talk to that a little bit. But Trey, you got something?
Yeah, I would just say my main point is it's 2020. I think the numbers are going up. D2 players are getting drafted in the NBA and the NFL. And I think that's just because nowadays there's just more exposure at all levels. There's more analytical platforms that really can analyze, pinpoints that scouts look for in professionals. So, you got a lot of social media platforms, a lot of, video recording, videos are going viral. Like, you have so much exposure nowadays that to get noticed. I don't think, 10 years ago, a decade ago, a lot of D2 players were getting the film out or getting the recognition. They weren't going viral for a certain shot or hit that they made on the field. We didn't have, we didn't have analytics to say, oh, we have a 6'6" guy, D end, and, D2. Now we have these analytics to look at your body, your body physique and say, hey, let's bring him in for a workout just based on the film he has. It's just a bigger platform, a bigger outlet in nowadays game that I think that, to allude back to what we talked about earlier, if you go to a smaller school, there's so much exposure nowadays. If you're really working hard, you will get noticed in 2020. No matter where you play, what you play, it's too easy with social media and, everyone's recording everything. You're bound to get noticed by someone. So, scouts, they watch all these highlight reels and everything on YouTube that go viral. So, just continue to work hard every day. I think there's a lot of platforms where coaches now scout, professionals now scout D1 and D2, NAIA, and they look at all platforms just because it's so easily accessible. Where they have, I forgot the name of the Synergy for the D1 ball. It's a platform called Synergy. All the professionals use it. Synergy breaks down all the clips, your percentages, turnovers, like you're good in certain areas on the floor. It breaks it down and just puts top players regardless of division, who they are, breaks it down, get you feeling real quick. And it's like, it's easily accessible for pros to look at, hey, let me just check this D2 guy. Like, his numbers are off the chart. Who is he? Let's bring him in for a quick workout. So don't let D2s discourage you. As long as you're working hard every day and standing out from what you do, I think you'll get noticed.
And it kind of timed back on what Trey was saying. I actually did an internship with the Houston Texans, and I got a chance to sit down with one of their guys that kind of runs that part of it. These NFL teams actually got software where they can pull up every Division I guy, every Division II guy, every Division III guy, every NIA guy. So you do not go and notice. They see everybody. They see it all. So don't think, oh, I'm at a D3 or D2 or whatever, and I'm not going to get seen. They seeing you. You just don't know it. And so, Just want to say that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Another question from Ray. Do you gentlemen agree with players being compensated financially by the programs for use of their likeness?
Trey, you want to go first?
Yeah, I do. I wish they had that rule back when I was playing. If I was in the SEC and getting compensated, man, I had my own house when I was in college. But no, I agree. From a business, NCAA is a business ultimately. They use your likeness, your image, to generate sales for ticket sales, merchandise, drive clicks on the websites. Your image is used more than what you know and what you think. So I definitely agree that, you're working hard to get in a position. The school recruits you to bring people out to come watch you play because you're a top recruit. You're a highlight reel. You're a sensation and people want to come and watch. So I definitely think that, it's a business. And when it comes to a business, I think that the players are very pivotal in this business model for the NCAA. And without them, there is no business model for the NCAA. So I definitely think and agree that, students should get paid for their likeness. Now, how they're going to pay, I'm not really sure. I'm not really into the weaves of it, but I do think that they should be compensated somewhat, some type of monetary amount for their likeness and their image.
Yeah, I agree too. The NCAA is a $1 billion industry, corporation, excuse me. So they're making a lot of money off these college players and from every level. So I think, eventually one day it will happen. Like Trey said, I don't know the ins and outs of it, how they're going to do it, but it's going to come. because people are realizing right now, I think, is it California or Florida where like the college athletes, it's both. Yeah, now they can get they can get compensated off their own merchandise, something like that. So it's slowly happening, and I think one day it's going to be to the point where you kind of like you're an employee. They give you a paycheck here and there, and so I think it's definitely something that needs to happen, but it's going to take time. It's going to be a process due to the fact that you putting your body on the line every day, and like me, I went through 3 injuries, 2 surgeries, so like. I'm putting my body on the line, so like I should see some of that money that I'm helping the school, getting these people come to this game, selling these tickets. So I think it should happen, and it's going to happen eventually.
Definitely. So we're coming to the close of today's session. So Michael wanted to see, is there anything else that we can discuss with you before we close?
One last question. How do you guys feel about the upcoming season, with everything, with COVID and all that? That's I see everybody, they have like different procedures they're gonna do, like tests every week. So how do you guys feel about that?
I guess I'll go first. Man, I feel like they're gonna try to, like I just mentioned, NCAA is a $1 billion company, man. They need the bus rolling, so they're gonna make that football happen. So I don't know, man. It's gonna be interesting to see how this happens, man, for you guys. I don't really know the ins and outs of what they're doing right now, what they're trying to do, the discussions and topics they're trying to make happen. But I definitely feel like NFL gonna happen, but NCAA, I don't know, man. I really don't.
Yeah, just to chime in quickly, I know we're running out of time here. Me, my mindset is always turning negative to a positive. One of the things that's critical during COVID is social distance. So how do you want to social distance? Put time by yourself, working extra hard on the weekends. Don't be around people. Go and work out now. You're forced to be alone. You're forced to go to the gym. You got so much free time now. What are you going to do with it? Go put the extra work in. Grow mentally, physically. Just grow as a person, grow as an athlete, learn yourself more. Just take the time to work on yourself and, use this to help propel for the next season, whether it happens or not. And you're there, you're on a full ride, you get in college credits. Take full advantage of it, man. If I had a year where I wasn't exposed to partying and going out, I think I would have worked more in the gym. I'd have been in the weight room more. I'd have been playing ball more. So use it as a positive. Social distance in the gym and put the extra work in. That's how I would look at it.
Definitely. So, gentlemen, I really appreciate everyone for sharing their experiences, giving advice. I appreciate the attendees for your questions. I just wanted to kind of close it out and let everyone know. So this is something that the AG Leadership Academy is going to be doing for like the next month and a half. Today was our first one. The next one is going to be keys to success in college. We have one, keys to being hired for internships for current college students, keys to be accepted into master's programs for students that are in college and looking at going to get their master's instead of entering the workforce. And then for high school students, we're going to have getting into college 101, everything from scholarships to essay tips, application, filling out your FAFSA. So we're really going to try to use the speaker series to try to get out some information that's very valuable to the youth. So with that, we're going to close. I appreciate everyone's time. And for Michael, I believe we have Jaden Harrington on the call as well. He's getting ready to head off to college. I just wish you guys the best of luck. The AG Leadership Academy is here to support you in whichever way we can. The gentleman that's on the call today, the panelists, here to support you. If there was anything that you didn't feel comfortable discussing in public, feel free to reach out to me. Everyone should have my contact information, but if not, it's ceo@gibbsacademy.org. So just reach out to me and I'll make sure we get your questions answered. So thank you, everyone, and have a great evening.
All right.
All right.
Thank you guys for having me.
Good luck, Michael, and all the other athletes. Good luck, everyone.
Yeah, good luck, y'all.
Appreciate it.
All out, man. Do y'all thing, man.
All right. Thank you, guys.
The luck to you.
All right.